This is the Cigar Snob podcast. I am Nick Jimenez. In a recent issue of the magazine, we ran a story about Aganorsa, its tobacco, its cigars, and its founder, Eduardo Fernández. Aside from its own brands, like Casa Fernández, Aganorsa manufactures cigars for various brands. One of those is Illusione, one of the most highly regarded of the boutique brands of premium cigars. While I was in Estelí for that story, I had a chance to interview Illusione founder Dion Giolito. We talked about Aganorsa and, more broadly, about his own company and approach to cigar making. First, though, a word from our sponsor, Safra Rum. At Cigar Snob magazine, we know that man cannot live on water alone, which is why we keep a healthy stockpile of Safra Rum at the office. I'm Nick Jimenez, senior editor of Cigar Snob magazine, and I'm here to tell you that every time we crack open a bottle of Safra Rum, we are impressed. In fact, I'm kind of hydrating with Safra Rum right now. It's unlike anything else, in part because of Safra's small batch approach. They use only hand-cut sugarcane and process it into top-grade molasses, distill in column stills, and ferment in a proprietary locally grown yeast. The rum master then ages the virgin rum in carefully selected bourbon oak casks. The end result is a rum masterpiece that's great for top-shelf cocktails, drinking it on the rocks, or even just drinking it neat, which, by the way, is what we did when we paired this in the pages of Cigar Snob magazine with the Oliva Serie B Melanio, but it goes great with just about any cigar. Here's what we had to say about Safra Rum. Quote, "The rum introduces smooth, honey, caramel, and molasses flavors that start to complement the coffee, chocolate, and spice from the cigar. Safra also received an exceptional 95-point rating from the Beverage Tasting Institute, so we are not the only ones who are crazy about this stuff. It's just another one of their prestigious awards. Ask for Safra Rum at your favorite retailer, restaurant, or bar. Make sure you follow them on Facebook and Instagram at Safra Rum. That's Z-A-F-R-A Rum. Safra Rum. Always drink responsibly, and remember that there is no rum without Safra." All right, and now here's my interview with Illusione's Dion Giolito.
First, with regards to Pedro Martin and sourcing, Eduardo, took these growing techniques and basically expanded on it because there's so much comparison to trying to be Cuba, trying to recreate what Cuba did. But there's only one Cuba, right? And there's only one product that comes out of Cuba. It's like French wines. Everybody says French wines are the best. Well, which French wines? What brand, what label, what vintage, what crop year? French wines. France makes some of the best wines in the world, but not all French wines are world class. There's obviously world class wines that come from Spain, Australia, Napa Valley, Oregon, etc. So how I looked at it is initially when I started, or when I got experienced to the tobacco that Pedro Martin was sourcing, I found something extremely unique, unlike anything else that was coming out of Nicaragua. And that piqued my curiosity. And so going back to what Eduardo says, taking the traditional techniques of Cuba and implementing them in Nicaragua, he made and created the potential, the best of what Nicaragua had to offer. So it created a completely unique tobacco in and of itself. So the arguments could be made, back and forth. Is this better than that? Is this country better than this? Is this product better than that? But, we here with Eduardo's materials, we really do consider that these are the best products, standalone products that come out of Nicaragua, hands down. Are they better? Now it gets down to personal opinion, So, but another thing that gets thrown around in this industry a lot too. Eduardo is very passionate, about his business. We're all passionate, otherwise we wouldn't be here. But the way we look at it, it's the word passion, it gets thrown around. It's almost just like white noise now. But what we like, I think, to convey to the people that enjoy cigars from this factory, we try to create an emotional attachment. It's extremely important, because we're all so passionate about it. And the tobacco creates a direct emotional attachment to the end user, the person that smokes cigars. And so we see that. And it's not that we're trying to take advantage of it or capitalize on it, but we feel that we have something that's very unique and very special with the materials and the land that Eduardo grows on to create and solidify that emotional attachment. Eduardo also talked about, having opportunities, like, well, if I'm going to do it, I have to be all in, and in our circles, particularly with, one of my mentors in the industry, we also talk about this crystal ball, okay? Now, we get exposed and we don't even know it, okay? Nobody really has a crystal ball, right? But we get these very rare opportunities to where this crystal ball is put in front of us, okay? And it's very subtle, and it's how can I say you have to be keen on it. You have to realize when that opportunity is put in front of you, because it just might only come maybe once or maybe twice in a lifetime if you're really, really lucky, but it's presented, it's put in front of you, and you have to be able to react. Eduardo says being at the right place, the right time. It's all the stars have to align, and it really, what we do is very physical, but there's a lot more of it that takes place, ethereal, the ethereal aspect of it. Eduardo says, all the stars have to align, and that's critical. I mean, there's a lot of truth in that, because these situations present themselves so rarely, and they're truly gifts that come across all of our paths through our lifetime, and they present that gift to us, and we have to be able to be responsible and use it wisely. Again, getting back, I think we all have the same vision. I think now in the factory, we've really become we've become more of a machine. We have more of a focus, and it's can come down to a group effort. Everything has to be in line. Coming out of when the tobacco is primed, it's hung in the barns. From there, it goes to fermentation. Everybody has a specific job, and that's more important than ever now. And we've seen just from past experiences that if one of those elements are slightly out of place, then there's potential catastrophe that could happen. So Eduardo has really given the opportunity for people in his organization to rise to the occasion and to take responsibility. And once you give them just a little bit of responsibility, it gives them a sense of being and placement and pride. And they want to do good because they want to be a part of the team. They want to be able to deliver that exceptional product to the market that we've been doing, for many years now. So it's really kind of like a blessing in disguise for a lot of these people to come up from nothing to have that sense of pride and a job and something that they truly care about in order to make all the cylinders fire and move that car forward.
Yeah, talk a little bit about how and again, especially for somebody who maybe is not as familiar with your store, how you get into this business and what it means to you to be working with somebody like Eduardo as a partner, so to speak.
Right.
Because especially at even just in our office, when we're talking about
you almost have to put this in quotation marks because what does it mean anymore, but boutique brands, your name always comes up as one of those people who's not just kind of like sitting back, slapping labels on cigars. Like you're, of the people who don't have their own factories and farms, you're one of those guys like, well, he almost might as well. Like you're in there.
Yeah, so again, it's a real special relationship that a brand like mine has with Aganorsa and Eduardo. Eduardo has really extended the luxury of letting me root through his entire business. He's really entrusted a person like me to be able to go look at pilons, review pilons, tobacco. I mean, really, that's 90% of what I do here is just making sure that the tobacco, from the standpoint that I look for, the quality standpoint that I look for, makes its way to the Galera, the Galera floor, so that we create that consistency, not only through products like Illusione, but everything. It kind of trickles down. So having that ability and access to be able to put my hands on any and all of his tobaccos is a rare opportunity for a person like me in this business. Yep. And the more I immerse myself in the back end of it and in the tobacco culture, the more, for lack of better words, I'm going to throw that word out there again, but that passion, that it created for me. I wanted to learn more. I wanted to know why this tobacco has this type of characteristics, why it works really well with this certain component, but not so well with this other component. So it's almost like a back engineering process, taking a cigar at the beginning and going, well, this is great. This is a great cigar, but why is it great? And this is kind of what got me into the back end of the business in 2004, particularly having been exposed to the tobaccos that Pedro Martin was bringing to the market. It piqued my curiosity, and I wanted to know why, and I wanted to learn more. And as I learned more, I saw the opportunity, the crystal ball dropped down and said, you have the opportunity to do something unique. Not saying that it's going to be better or I'm going to reinvent the wheel, but we as a consortium or a group have the ability and have the unique opportunity to do something that's different than what's out there right now.
Right. Talk a little bit about how you approach from a marketing standpoint, taking a product. It's hard to say that any factory isn't. It's all a very traditional product, but somebody who's got such a commitment to that traditional approach and to and then sort of turning that into a story and connecting with people who are sort of interacting with it in a somewhat non-traditional way.
Right.
What's your thinking there? And, sorry.
So, with regards to stories, right? Everybody has a story.
Of course.
Everybody has a story in this business. Whether it's the dream of Carlito Fuente, starting out small in Nicaragua, having his business burned to the ground, taken away, and he basically had to leave. Go to the Dominican Republic, or Eduardo coming here. It's all about. Shoot, I forgot the question.
So the question was about the sort of juxtaposition between a factory and a grower who are so committed to the traditional and sort of marketing it in non-traditional ways.
Yeah, so again, I guess relating to the stories, okay? Because a lot of the stories in this business kind of run into each other. Everybody says that they get the best tobacco. Everybody says that they have the best rollers. Everybody says that they have, this. But in some cases it's true, and in some cases it's not true. In our case, I can say it's true because, again, from my standpoint, this is as close to being vertically integrated as you can possibly be, because Eduardo grows the tobacco, ferments the tobacco, then we bring it to the production here to use. So for me, that's very unique and very rare for a person coming from from where I came from, background. What also helped too is having almost 25 years in the retail business and being able to see the market trends and where things are going, and coming to an operation like this where there's a big disconnect between what happens here versus what people are looking for in the American market. I was, I think in some regard, able to bridge that gap and to bring some of that information to people like Eduardo and like some of my other friends in the industry, to be able to say, okay, if we just do it this way, if we create a cigar that has these types of characteristics, this style, it has the best chance of success. Now, will it succeed? I don't know. Again, you just have to put it out there and let it go. But with all the infrastructure and everything that we have here, we have much more confidence, knowing in the quality of materials and the rollers and the infrastructure, the staff, the people that Eduardo talks about, that Eduardo has brought to the factory, that it's a much better chance rather than just making a cigar or an off-the-rack blend and putting a different brand identity on it and putting it in the market and saying, okay, let's try this one or let's try this. We're not throwing things against the wall, many things against the wall to hopefully make them stick. Every single thing that this factory produces has a very, very high rate of success just because of what Eduardo and his team has set up here, and the talent that surrounds him.
So just kind of taking a total turn here, but as long as we got you hooked up to the mic, somebody is you spend a good amount of time in Estelí. Somebody is visiting Estelí. Outside of cigar factories and farms, what do you recommend they do?
Eat.
Yeah. Any particular places?
Yeah.
Or dish recommendations?
There's a lot of. I like the smaller cafes.
Yep.
There's really nice, restaurants like Puliasos. It's fine, but we have American steakhouses, or we have this or that. But really, what I like are just the little worker cafes. Just some simple gallo pinto, some smoked pork, some fresh cheese. Just the real simple dishes. That's kind of like what I like. And again, it's all interconnected, right? Because assembling a dish is almost the same as putting a blend together. You have to hit certain components in order to bring all these qualities together.
And you're working inside of the confines of blending solids.
Right. It's like if you're cooking and you add too much salt. Okay, well, the salt is there. You can't take it away. It's there for, they're saying, oh, well, you can put potatoes in there and, the potatoes will soak up the salt. Well, no, it's still going to be a real salty dish. So that's why it's extremely important on the manufacturing side that it gets, that the materials, the right materials and the best materials get used, and that, kind of nothing slips past and gets in, because little problems can become very big problems really fast. And so again, with the infrastructure and the staff that Eduardo has put in place, and now that Max is really overseeing, it's not to say that mistakes will never happen, because they always will in this business. Always, mistakes happen in every business. But we can limit those. We can limit our exposure to those potholes, because again, guys like Max are here. And Harold, which kind of is a man of many parts, but he's just really in the nuts and bolts of it, can limit the exposure again of those potholes, so that we hopefully won't run into them as often.
So let me congratulate you on the smoothest transition I've ever heard from Gallo Pinto to the pitfalls of cigar manufacturing.
Right.
Last question. Suppose somebody's hearing this and they haven't really explored a lot of Illusione cigars. Any pairing recommendations from your portfolio?
It's pairing. People. That's where it just kind of gets really snobbish, right?
Well, even just your own personal.
Right. So personally, I like to pair it with whatever. With whatever. Back in the day, I mean, cigars, I'll tell you, cigars and Dr. Pepper are a fantastic combination.
Okay.
Okay? It is. I don't care what anybody says. Cigars and Dr. Pepper are fantastic. But it's really just what you like to enjoy it with. I mean, I like smoky scotches with mine, but it's not to say that I don't enjoy my cigars with a glass of wine. You know, there's some people out there that say that tannins in wine adversely affect cigars. And you know, even beers. You know, there's been some beers I've had that, you know, like stouts, you know, real heavy stouts that can actually alter the taste and the effect of the cigar on your palate. It can make it. It's like, man, this tastes really good by itself, but when you drink it with this, it's terrible. You know, so I mean, it's kind of a learning process and curve. I mean, so yeah, Scotch and cigars have always been kind of like the go-to. Some of the hotter scotches, the higher alcohol scotches, can really dissipate the moisture on your palate, can kind of burn your palate, and won't allow the delicate subtleties of the tobacco we use to come through to engage your taste buds. So Scotch, yeah, is a good pairing, but sometimes it's not a good pairing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right. And anything that people should be keeping an eye out from you guys?
Hey, you know, we're really not here to talk about that.
Sure.
I mean, it's about Eduardo, so yeah. Okay. Well,
We've got Eduardo in the background.
all right, so I was able to last year procure a brand called One Off. And it was a grandfathered brand, and it was one of the first brands I remember that was just like a Roman candle for cigar brands. It made a huge impact. It was like an asteroid, you know, big dust settled, and then all of a sudden, through whatever reason, whether it was poor management of the brand, the principal owner falling out of disinterest with it or just moving on to something else, it went away. But it still left a real viable impact, and it was one of the few, if only brands that, in my experience of 25 to 30 years, that people still had a story about. You know, I mean, brands have come and gone. I mean, people have made hundreds, thousands of brands, factories, and it's like, oh yeah, I remember that cigar. Yeah, it was a good cigar. But you know, you hold up the One Off, you know, with that piece on, they're like, what the hell is that? I mean, you remember that? Oh yeah, I remember that. I used to sell those cigars. They were, you know, we sold out every time, and then all of a sudden they went away. I don't know what happened. And so I kept my eye on it for years, and just the opportunity arose to where I could get it, and we're now making it here at Tabsa, and the materials are, again, it's one of those things where the stars aligned. The tobaccos that we use came together immediately because of the superior crop years that Eduardo has, and we have an abundance of that tobacco, you know, to use. So it was just one of those things where right place, right time, everything came together. Everything came together, you know, the brand, the tobacco, the opportunity, the time. So but again, it's the market will tell.
Yep.
You know, we already know it's a beautiful cigar, and we hope that everybody else will realize that it is as well.
Cool. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks a lot, man.
All right.
Thanks very much to Dion for taking the time to do that interview, and as always, thank you for listening to the Cigar Snob podcast. Make sure that you subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, SoundCloud, or Stitcher. Rate and review us while you're there. You can also find episodes of the podcast at cigarsnobmag.com/podcast. Share this episode with friends and fellow smokers who you think might be interested in the story. If you're a social media person, you can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Cigar Snob Mag. Finally, make sure to send any feedback, questions, or comments you might have to feedback@cigarsnobmag.com. We might just respond to you here on the podcast or in the pages of Cigar Snob magazine. Thanks for listening. Until next time, I'm Nick Jimenez, and this is the Cigar Snob Podcast. At Cigar Snob magazine, we know that man cannot live on water alone, which is why we keep a healthy stockpile of Safra rum at the office. I'm Nick Jimenez. senior editor of Cigar Snob magazine, and I'm here to tell you that every time we crack open a bottle of Safra rum, we are impressed. In fact, I'm kind of hydrating with Safra rum right now. It's unlike anything else, in part because of Safra's small batch approach. They use only hand-cut sugarcane and process it into top-grade molasses, distill in column stills, and ferment in a proprietary, locally grown yeast. The rum master then ages the virgin rum in carefully selected bourbon oak casks. The end result is a rum masterpiece that's great for top-shelf cocktails, drinking it on the rocks, or even just drinking it neat, which, by the way, is what we did when we paired this in the pages of Cigar Snob magazine with the Oliva Serie B Melanio, but it goes great with just about any cigar. Here's what we had to say about Safra rum. Quote, the rum introduces smooth, honey, caramel, and molasses flavors that start to complement the coffee, chocolate, and spice from the cigar. Safra also received an exceptional 95-point rating from the Beverage Tasting Institute, so we are not the only ones who are crazy about this stuff. It's just another one of their prestigious awards. Ask for Safra rum at your favorite retailer, restaurant, or bar. Make sure you follow them on Facebook and Instagram at Safra Rum. That's Zafra Rum. Safra Rum. Always drink responsibly, and remember that there is no rum without Safra.